Close your eyes, exhale, feel your body relax, and let go of whatever you're carrying today.
Well, I'm letting go of the worry that I wouldn't get my new contacts in time for this class. I got them delivered free from 1-800-CONTACTS. Oh my gosh, they're so fast.
And breathe.
Oh, sorry. I almost couldn't breathe when I saw the discount they gave me on my first order. Oh, sorry. Namaste.
Visit 1-800-CONTACTS.com today to save on your first order.
1-800-CONTACTS.
This episode is brought to you by The Farmer's Dog, a service that delivers gently cooked, freshly made pet food straight to your door. Each balanced recipe is developed by board-certified nutritionists and clinically proven to support healthy aging. The Farmer's Dog, guided by science, driven by love. New customer? Get 50% off your first box at thefarmersdog.com/Spotify. Plus, you get free shipping.
Unfiltered discussions. Unexpected guests. No topic is off limits, from sex and relationships to the human condition, personal anxieties, and so much more. The only talk show of its kind in the world. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Hello and welcome. Hope you had a nice holidays. We are back. It's a strange time of year between Christmas and New Year's. In Betwixt'mas, I believe it's called. Here are some of the things we'll cover and that you'll learn on tonight's show. 6 million romantic couples were surveyed, and the data shows why they chose each other. One surprising finding is shared mental health struggles. In 10 minutes' time, we'll dig into the psychology behind that and show you why sharing things like anxiety or depression might shape who you fall for. Then it's New Year's resolutions. What are yours? All right, we've got a lot to do on the show, so let's jump in. Someone special is going to introduce the show after the whispery announcer woman now.
Want to be part of The Last Show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Hello there, Tony 5, foreign correspondent here on The Last Show with David Cooper. Coming off of Christmas and eating all that fancy food, what would you do with $400,000 of lobster? This is the question I'm going to ask David Cooper, host, guest, and guest again. How are you, David?
I am well. It's nice to be introduced on my own show as a guest on my own show by host Tony 5 for the next few minutes as we talk about a lobster heist. I love a lobster heist. By the way, I made lobster this weekend.
Good Lord, I was going to say, was it you that stole that $400,000 worth of lobster to prepare for next year Thanksgiving? Because I think that would be a great idea.
I would like to say I was in some shady parking lot and a guy with a trench coat opened it and attached to his trench coat was lobsters saying, hey dude, you want to buy one? But no, I went to the fish market.
I mean, in all fairness, so this lobster was on its way to Costco, which I didn't realise sold lobster, live lobster or frozen lobster, and it left sort of Massachusetts on its way to Midwest America. And I can only imagine there must be a huge market or somebody who fences live lobsters or lobster in general. Like, who are you going to sell $400,000 worth? And we worked it out, right? We said it was about 20,000 lobsters.
I don't know how you would unload black market lobster. Just go to like a fish market and be like, hey, I'm a regular fisherman. Here's 20,000 lobsters I just caught.
Do you reckon is a dark web? Do you reckon they're doing it on a dark web? Is that what the dark web's for? Just selling stuff like that?
Well, speaking of that, these crooks who hijacked this truck to steal the lobster,
yep,
they had like burner phones and they were using throwaway email addresses. These were high-tech lobster crooks, according to authorities. So that I don't know.
It was organised seafood crime, David. This is organised seafood crime. It's something that's misrepresented in the news, and I think we should be talking about it more.
I think you should take a Groupon course in organized seafood thievery and be a special organized seafood crime correspondent to our show. I don't think any other show on any other network will have a dedicated seafood criminologist.
In all fairness, David, whatever I paid for the Groupon, I could lobster claw it back.
By the big bucks we make on the show. Okay. Back to my meal. I bought live lobsters. It actually doesn't say whether the stolen lobsters in this heist were live or not. I'd like to think they were live, although you can buy them frozen. I just think it's really funny, like the truck with the water swashing back and forth and they like, take out these live lobsters and I don't know, put them in a tank, who knows what.
I think that's why the assumption for me is that they were frozen, because otherwise they'd have to have like water in there and 20,000 of them, even in a huge articulated truck, is quite a lot. I assume that when you get live lobster, they go into like local restaurants, whatever, and it's a very small sort of organization. But yeah, back to your meal. Tell me about it.
Oh yeah, first of all, I bought culls, which are lobsters with only one claw, which are cheaper per pound.
Oh wow!
And I bought 4 of them, and I was about to throw them in the pot because I was lazy. And Miranda's like, "Aren't you gonna stun them first? Like you can't just throw." And I'm like, "Okay, fine." So then I threw them in the freezer for 15 minutes to kind of stun them. And then I dispatched them with the knife so I could kill them humanely.
Oh,
so well, it's awful, but it's much less bad allegedly than boiling them.
Okay.
To dispatch them before they're boiled, it's like a quick and painless allegedly way to kill them.
Well, as someone who's not very bougie, I don't really have lobster often. I've only ever had lobster in a lobster roll, and I think we were together when I had that. It was in New York, I think Grand Union Station. I had a lobster roll. So how do you cook a lobster? I've only ever seen them. I'll be honest with you. My information about lobster comes from Finding Nemo.
Well,
the Disney Pixar film. Is it very similar?
I prefer to steam them. So you steam them. These were a 1/4 pound, so I steamed them for about 10, 12 minutes.
Okay.
And then I put them in a pasta, so I couldn't serve them with the shells. So I took a pair of little seafood shears.
Okay.
And I cut open the tail, I cut open the claws, and I manually picked out the meat with my disgusting fingers. And then I cut it into, bite-sized chunks, kind of leaving the claw intact. There's a little bone in the claw. You got to take that out. It's a whole thing.
Okay.
And then I cook the pasta. And then at the very last step, you mix it into the sauce with the noodles so that it doesn't overcook twice in the sauce, but enough to heat it back up. And that's how I did it. It's very laborious, but I figured it was like a pre-New Year's thing. And that's actually one of the topics I want to get to because it's a theme for the show tonight. And you texted it to me. I don't know who made it up, but I'm gonna pretend it was me. In Betwixt'mas, okay?
Yes. The Abyss, David. We call it the Abyss here. It's the days between Christmas Day and New Year's Day where people sometimes work, sometimes don't.
And even if you are working, like you're not working that hard because half the office is out anyway.
Correct. And like shops are open, but it's kind of not because they take their holidays off. No sort of government offices are kind of open. So it's like this weird, like almost like a lockdown period. And that's what I remember. That's completely what I thought about this week. It's like a lockdown where things weren't really happening. And is it like that over there in the States and Canada?
It's like the world's running and not running. Like the tourists are out, but it's not clear why. And like, because all the Christmas stuff is done and New York's a very New Year's Eve city. So it's kind of building up to that.
Yes.
It's sort of like a Twilight Zone. It's a time warp. Do the days between December 25th and January 1st even exist? I don't know.
I don't believe they do, but I have a sort of sadness when I see a Christmas tree now, knowing it really isn't applicable.
It's borrowed time.
Yeah, it's on borrowed time.
My girlfriend Miranda, she doesn't want to take the tree down for a few more days. And I'm like, but it's like, it shouldn't be there. The Christmas decorations are still up, but they shouldn't be there.
I don't know how you feel about this, but for example, celebrating your birthday a week or up to 2 days before, brilliant, great. The day after your birthday, going out for a meal, it feels like you're faking it. Mm-hmm. And I feel the same way. Do you feel like that, or is that just me overthinking?
I think it might be you overthinking, but I see what you're saying. I'm trying to think how we can tie this back to lobster. The only way to think of it is lobster's a very New Year's Eve dish.
Yep.
And that's what I did. I did surf and turf. I got a couple of steaks. I made some lobster. I made a salad. I had some friends over. We had a dinner party. I thought I bought too much food, but 2 of my friends are large eaters, and so they demolished everything.
Okay.
And it was a lovely meal.
Do you pick the lobster? Did you say, I want him, or I want her, or
No.
I want them?
No, I just said,
okay.
I said pick 4 sprightly ones. I didn't want ones that were near dead.
Okay.
Yep.
So that you can just throw them in the back of your freezer and kill them yourself, yeah?
Well, no, I stun them in the freezer. I don't freeze them completely, and then I dispatch them with a knife. You put the knife right in its head.
Okay, because when you say stun them, I had the feeling that you were going to taser them. You had like a speciality French dish.
The idea is the cold in the freezer kind of makes them, inactive, and that kind of makes potentially them feel painless. And then you very quickly with a knife go to the head, and you go into the brain, and you get it real quick.
Do they not make a noise when you kill them?
I mean, they have like a muscle reaction, but it's unclear whether that's pain or not. It's supposed to be more humane, okay? Than boiling them and then them slowly heating up and dying in pain. It's supposed to be.
But do you not think that's that whole thing about being in a pot and being boiled alive? You don't really know what's going on. It's just a nice, lovely warm bath. And then all of a sudden, you're dead.
Here's scientists we should get on the show in the new year, Tony. I believe some scientists put frogs in a pot and boiled it to see if they would jump out, and most, in fact, did. That's something to look forward for the new year. We got to get the authors of those papers on the show.
David, you know I like my academic references. I think we should try and find out, yes, do frogs really do die in boiling water, or do they just jump out? I love it.
Well, the FBI cannot confirm or deny the existence of an investigation into the lobster heist, but we do know the lobsters went missing. I guess we'll keep reporting on the heist. Tony, what a pleasure it was having you here.
David, always at the forefront of seafood-based news. Thank you very much.
Tony Five, he's our seafood criminologist out of London, England. Up next, a study that looked at 6 million romantic couples reveals people with similar mental health struggles attract. Why? Details in a minute.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast? Smart move. Being financially savvy? Smart move. Another smart move? Having State Farm help you create a competitive price when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
This is your invitation to a journey where relationships are dissected, science is simplified, and the news is hilariously twisted. The Last Show with David Cooper.
We know that couples tend to line up and match based on politics, religion, and lifestyle, but there's new research that suggests that we might be choosing romantic partners who share our mental health struggles, not by accident, but because people who have similar minds to us somehow feel familiar, easy to understand. I'm here with someone who's looked at this research. She's a senior lecturer in social psychology at Birmingham City University. Her name is Mariel Marcano-Olivier. Mariel, welcome to the program.
Hello.
So looking at data from more than 6 million couples, this study did, zooming out, were there anything surprising there, or did it just confirm things we already knew about how people match up?
I would say for me, not necessarily surprising, but one of the things that I found really interesting was if you see the mental health diagnoses that were more likely to, should we say, find each other, couple up, partner together, it's the symptoms of each mental health condition rather than the mental health condition matching sort of as a whole.
Can you give me a specific example of that? I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, you might find that someone who has a substance abuse disorder might find a relationship with someone who has ADHD. Now, this might be because both disorders, there is some interaction with impulsivity. So people with substance use disorders struggle with willpower, impulsivity, things like that. Sometimes people with ADHD struggle with those things as well, those executive functions. And so we find that people with different mental health conditions, but who can understand each other on the basis of symptoms sort of fitting, that kind of might bring them together. So, for example, you might be more likely to meet someone in a bar if you have a substance use disorder, and then you meet someone else who is in the bar who is very impulsive and exciting, and that's why they love going out to bars so much. And so then those two people meet sort of as a result of or linked with their mental health condition, but not necessarily them going, "Hello, I have this mental health condition. Do you?"
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think we're all used to the idea of people matching up because of politics or religion or similar lifestyles or maybe being in the same course at university, having the same socioeconomic bracket. Mental health similarity, this idea of matching based on it. Has it been overlooked? Is this sort of a new area of research until now?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily been overlooked. This study was the largest study. In fact, I personally haven't seen a study with 6 million, and that's 6 million couples, I think, 6 million pairs. So even more people in this study. And so this is the largest scale study that's ever happened. So whilst it has been explored before, there are lots of things, smaller sample sizes, the participants that would come forward, perhaps biasing the data. And so these sort of smaller studies might have had more variables, so things outside of the study that are impacting the actual findings. Whereas a study as big as this with 6 million spousal pairs, that is such a large amount of data that we can be very confident in this result. So it has been studied before, but we weren't as confident about it. And now we can be, now that we have that really big lot of quantitative data.
The phrase assortative mating, I've run into it before, but can you define it for me quickly and talk to me about how it fits into this data?
Yes, so assortative mating is essentially the way that we describe selecting partners based on their attributes. It's literally that you assort mates depending on who fits you better. Now, for someone with a psychiatric condition or a neurodevelopmental condition, so let's say autism, somebody with autism might really struggle with things not following a certain time frame or time scale, and then someone with OCD might also struggle with people not following a time scale. So then those two people might sort of meet each other and be, and as I sort of said earlier, have that sort of like completing one another thing. And for some people it can be really, really wonderful, but for others, of course, it can be a bit more toxic, a bit more damaging.
Someone might hear us talking right now and think, oh, someone with ADHD and a substance use disorder might pair, someone with depression and another person with anxiety might pair, and that might to them sound like an unhealthy dynamic. I'm not sure it is, but what would you say to someone who heard that, hey, people pairing with similar mental health struggles might produce unhealthy pairs?
I think that is absolutely something that we that could be considered, but I do think that there is absolutely more to this study and these findings than that. I think that the understanding, the empathy, the experience sharing that you would have with your partner if they also experience mental health struggles, I think that is part of what helps keep people in these couples together, and it's that positive side of it that can be a lot more influential than sort of the negatives. Now, of course, many of us will have known people who've been in relationships and you sort of think, oh, that person's perhaps a little bit a bit chaotic, and this person's a little bit perhaps needy, and then the chaos and the need for stability doesn't necessarily match up, and so whilst they both have mental health conditions, but their symptoms don't align, and that can then become really quite toxic. But when you have, for example, say 2 people with autism, it can be a really fulfilling thing for people with autism to be in a relationship with another neurodivergent person, because they don't have to explain every aspect of their lived reality, which can be so different for neurodiverse people when compared to neurotypical people. For example, I'm autistic, and if I was to come in and sit down on the sofa next to my partner after a long day at work, he knows not to talk to me for like 45 minutes. And then after 45 minutes, I'll be more than happy to talk because I've sort of calmed down, I've decompressed. And he knows that and he understands that because I need that for my autism. But somebody who doesn't understand neurodiversity might find it really rude if their partner comes home, sits down and doesn't talk to them for 45 minutes. But that's something that really helps our relationship, because rather than coming through the door, my partner trying to talk to me and me being like, no, can't, and that causing problems, it's much nicer because 45 minutes later, I'll put down my book, I'll put down my phone, and I'll be like, I'm ready to talk now. But sometimes people without neurodiversity or without mental health conditions won't necessarily understand that need for space. Mm-hmm. So it can you can absolutely have toxic relationships as a result of this. But I think what might then be overlooked is the real positive and fulfilling things about having someone who, who shares your crazy.
That was well said. It could be true for anxiety, depression, other things too. Having someone who really understands or has similar symptoms to you, even if the disorder is different, I think can make for a good couple. And I appreciate you answering that question that way. A huge study like this, 6 million couples, 12 million individuals. What questions would it open up, or what things would people want to look into next from this huge set of data?
Well, I suppose if it was me personally, what I would want to do would be to understand the data in a deeper way. So at the moment, what we've got is quantitative data. So it's just numbers. And the people whose data is in this study, they probably aren't aware that their data is in this study because it's secondary data. So this is insurance data. So what I would actually prefer to do would be to have interviews. Now, obviously, I can't conduct 6 million interviews, but it would be really fantastic to interview a subsection of people to see what those benefits are and what the cons are of that lived experience in those relationships. That's what I'd personally like to do.
Mariel Marcano-Olivier is a senior lecturer in social psychology at Birmingham City University in the UK. Mariel, thank you for talking to me today. I appreciate your time.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me.
Coming up next, do New Year's resolutions annoy you? Well, they shouldn't, because we've got a foolproof way, easy to follow steps where you can succeed with your New Year's resolution. All this on Therapy Thursdays on a Wednesday, on a Monday, because it's Monday, coming up after the break.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Broadcasting from the intersection of chaos and more chaos. The last show with David Cooper.
My goodness, it is Therapy Thursdays on a Wednesday, on a Monday, and we are joined by therapist Gary Direnfeld to talk the upcoming new year. But first, Gary, welcome to the show.
Great to be with you yet again. I guess this is the last one of the year.
It would appear to be that way. And happy in Betwixt'mas, that awkward time between Christmas and New Year's where you're not sure if the world exists. Like companies, like you kind of have to go to work unless you took the whole time off, but half the people aren't there. Nobody knows quite what to do. Everyone's getting ready for the new year. Everyone's decompressing from the holidays. Who knows what's happening?
So first of all, you're talking to a guy who is retired. So time doesn't have much meaning for me. Having said that, my life is still somewhat structured. I do volunteer work. I'm in touch with other people.
Wait, didn't you win some Volunteer of the Year award? Let's take a minute to celebrate that. Gary, I know you're too humble, but some hospital gave you an award for being a good dude?
South Lake Health, that's the regional hospital that's in Newmarket. And I received a champion award as one of the volunteers as a patient experience partner. And I was shocked, actually.
My friend. And well, congratulations on your volunteer award. But yes,
thank you.
Retirement is sort of like in Betwixt'mas for life, I guess.
Right. So let me come back to this.
Okay.
I'm retired. I have nothing but time on my hands. And yet, in the last week, I lost a day. It was all of a sudden Saturday, and I didn't know where Friday went. So this in-between mix, I don't even know the...
In-betwixt'mas.
Only you. In-betwixt'mas. I got all befuddled, and I lost a day in there.
I'm sorry to hear that. Where did the day go? Nobody knows. This is now a murder mystery show. Where did the day go?
Honest to goodness. So maybe there is something about this in-betwixt'mas where we are twiddling our thumbs and the time just kind of slips away. Maybe it's the Christmas hangover.
It's the Christmas hangover and the anticipation of New Year's, which most folks get off. So it's like, it's this weird time, December 26th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 30th, 31st. Who knows where this time goes?
And if you are working, are you really working?
Exactly. You know, like you just had some time off. You're going to have more time off probably, or you got paid overtime and that scrambles your brain. Like, you know, it's a weird time of year.
It's a weird time of year. Say it again. What's it called?
In Betwixt'mas. I'm not sure I named it. Our foreign correspondent, Tony Five, who was on the show earlier today, told me about it, and now I'm all about it.
He is such a great guy. We have been texting back and forth, by the way.
Good.
He is such a great guy.
Now, in Betwixt'mas, I will say the one thing to do during this time, because you've got it, is to plan your New Year's resolutions if you choose to make them. Now, I believe you're a poo-pooer of New Year's resolutions.
You're coming up with the best of lines. Yes, I am a poo-pooer and I'm a therapist. Why would you leave everything and put all your money on, black number 7 and roll that dice? I'm mixing
Spin the wheel, yeah. Because it always turns up black number 7, right? Isn't that how roulette works?
Why would you spin the wheel? Like, if you want a change in behavior, I don't think it's a good idea to put all the weight on one day in one particular month.
Agree.
It's a lot of pressure.
Agree. Having said that, I've had incredible luck with New Year's resolutions.
You're the winner. You're the one who gets lucky number 7.
Well, it's not by accident.
What is your strategy?
Here's something I'm not going to do this year, but I have done in previous years. Start your New Year's resolution on February 1st. So out the gate, the pressure is gone. You haven't told all your friends, I'm going to quit drinking. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to write more, whatever it is. You haven't put all this pressure on this day.
Let me guess. And the resolution is to no longer procrastinate.
Okay, if that's your resolution, maybe start on January 1st. But it just takes the pressure off. If you're really committed to this thing, why does it have to be that day, okay?
Exactly. But that's my point. If you really want to change a behavior, change the behavior. Start right now, for crying out loud.
That's my other strategy. So my goal 2 years ago was to floss twice a day, okay?
Okay. That's a reasonable goal.
And I started on December 31st, and I've been flossing every day for almost 2 years, except for the one day I got vertigo and couldn't get out of bed. We forgive myself for that, which we'll come back to later. Okay, that's a silly New Year's resolution. In 2020, my New Year's resolution was to do everything I possibly could to get a job in commercial radio. I still hadn't had my first job in commercial radio.
Okay.
Rigid routine. I made a spreadsheet where I listed things I could do that day, like reach out to this person, practice that, record a demo, edit a demo, send out a demo, apply for a job, go to a networking thing, try to get a guest appearance on someone's show, whatever it was. And I listed like 20 things that I could do on a given day. And I had to do them 5 days a week, okay? And I had a spreadsheet. So what am I saying? You have to have a rigid routine where it's measured. And so I kind of measured my tasks, and I had a column for every day, and it would go green if I put something in.
And those, by the way, are typically the most successful of resolutions, where you do have a plan, it is objective and measurable.
And implement streaks. And so I had to do it every week. And so, I've done it this week, 2 week, 3 week.
What do you mean streaks?
Like a running goal. Like, when you're playing a video game and you win 10 times.
Oh, you're on a streak. Okay. All right. That was a weird word for me for that. Okay. But I'm following.
Implement a streak, have some running total that keeps on getting bigger and bigger and bigger, the number of days you do it. Now,
okay.
Now, notice what I said, 5 days a week I had to do something. Well, that gave me 2 days off. Well, if I missed a day, don't go all fatal and, I've ruined the resolution. No, next week you can do 6 days to make up for the missed day.
So you can make up for it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like how I'm dieting these days.
If it's run 15 minutes every day, then okay, if you miss a day, tomorrow you got to run 30 minutes.
Yes.
Just have a way to make up for missed days so that you don't get into this mindset of, I didn't brush my teeth today. I didn't write today. The New Year's resolution is ruined, and make sure the tasks are doable. So rigid routine, implement running total streaks, have a way to make up for missed days, and make sure the tasks are doable. You know, it's not climb Everest. It's something you can do every day.
Right. There, if our listeners are going to follow your advice and they want to up the likelihood of this being successful, there are a couple of other things, add-ons that they can do. And one is to have social support. So don't do this in isolation. Or if it is something that it's not a shared activity, how many other people are going to be looking to get a show on radio. So,
I did get my first paycheck for doing a fill-in in August of that year, just saying.
That's amazing. If it's to quit smoking, if it's to lose weight, if it's this kind of goal, it can be helpful to many people to actually share that information with someone else and do it as a team.
Sure. And the last thing I'll say on New Year's resolutions, Gary, before we go to break, never, ever, ever join a gym. Just pay the entry fee. And if you go to the gym 5 times and you actually show up, pay to go each time. On the 6th time, fine, buy a membership. But just pay to enter. I know it seems more expensive. I know they're going to try to trick you into buying a membership, but who knows if you're going to use it. Just go and pay whatever the fee is to go.
Pay whatever the daily fee is.
Yes.
And do that day by day to make sure that you get truly connected and you're going to follow through with this.
Then waste your money on a membership. At that point, it won't be wasting it. But don't pay money up front on the promise that you'll do something that you haven't done to date.
The gyms love that.
Yes, it's how they make money.
They look at you and they say, you are an annuity to me. I will be making money off you for months to come.
ARR, annual recurring revenue. This is what the gyms want on their books. Okay, we're here with Gary Direnfeld. When we come back, we're talking the new year, and one of the most exciting things about January is that divorce filings go up that time of year. Why? That is the question. We'll have the answer for you in a minute.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Here's to quitting. Quitting the couch for a quick run. Quitting the snooze button for a morning workout. Quitting giving up after 2 weeks. You see, staying committed to your fitness goals isn't easy. But with Apple Watch, you don't have to do it alone. Because Apple Watch gives you real-time motivation, plus advanced metrics that track all your workouts, so you can stick to your New Year's fitness resolutions. And once and for all, quit quitting with Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.
When your therapist won't take your calls anymore, there's always the last show with David Cooper.
It is mental health's only... what am I saying? It is the only mental health specific broadcasting content intended for a Thursday that airs on a Wednesday that happens to be airing on a Monday. It's Therapy Thursdays on a Wednesday. On a Monday. Very confusing. We are talking the new year where divorce filings appear to go up in January. Why and what to do about it? Gary Direnfeld is here to discuss. Gary, we went from uplifting resolutions. Now we're going to even more uplifting divorce.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Well, no one wants to initiate a divorce in December. No one wants to be the Grinch who stole Christmas by announcing, and I'm leaving you. And so the divorce filings go down. However, activity at court actually goes up leading to December. These are the already separated parents duking it out over the parenting plan. Who's going to see the kids when over Christmas time? But for those contemplating divorce, they just want to get through it. They don't want to spoil Christmas for the kids or extended kin. So they actually do their best to simply fake it and hold it together. Come January, I don't need to fake it. I don't need to hold it together anymore. And the other thing that happens in January is the financial accountability. Everything that you spent leading into Christmas, the bills are coming home to roost. So there is more stress. There's more pressure. I don't need to hold myself together for the relationship. And people start contemplating and seeing divorce lawyers.
Imagine that's where you are right now. How do you even go about that? Like I I asked a friend. I was like, do you know any good divorce lawyers who was an attorney themselves? That's how I found my lawyer, and she was pretty good. I don't know, she was all right.
You know, there are so many different, and people don't realize this, there are many different approaches to divorce. You know, some people think my ex is going to be nasty, I better hire a real rough and tough pit bull of a lawyer. But here's the thing. If you do that, if you hire a fighter, you are already setting the gears in motion for a fight. Just because you don't get along in your marriage or your relationship doesn't mean divorce has to be World War III. You don't need War of the Roses. I tell people to look for those, if you want a lawyer, look for those lawyers who have been trained in either mediation or something called collaborative family law. These are lawyers who have additional training so that rather than running to court to resolve a problem, rather than castigating the other parent or partner in order to make yourself look good, they say, hey, how are we going to resolve this as a group? How are we going to resolve this amicably? And, you know, how you start is typically how you end. So if you start rough and tumble, you're likely going to have quite a time of it. And in fact, I've read, you know, in my role as a social worker, so many of those initial lawyer letters that sound like a blame and shame extortion letter. You have to know, if you're on the receiving end of that, what are you going to do? You're going to respond in kind. You're going to be defensive and then offensive. Versus the kind of lawyer that says, let me pick up the phone, let me phone the lawyer for the other side, or let me, you know, bring your partner in so maybe we can have an opening discussion about how to go through this. Now, the same lawyer can't represent both persons, but the same lawyer can discuss the options for how to proceed. Okay? So to find a lawyer who's going to go about this not in a conflicted, needing to blame way, but in a way to how do we resolve your problems, they typically have better outcomes.
When I worked with my lawyer, she was really great, you know, very much that collaborative attitude, standing up to me, making sure my understanding was correct around fairness.
Yes.
You want someone who's not cruel because, yeah, if you start that way, it's going to end that way, and that's not fun. Isn't the whole idea like working this out reasonably and it not escalating to court, hopefully settling out of court? You know, it's different jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but like the jurisdictions I have knowledge of, which is Ontario, where I grew up, California, where I lived, New York, you can do this collaboratively. It might not be fun, but it doesn't have to be everything mediated by a judge. Correct. And also, when you do that, legal fees go up, right? I mean, litigation's expensive.
Absolutely. Very expensive. So find those lawyers that, like I say, have that additional training in mediation or collaborative law. If you Google collaborative family law and your city, town, state, or province, you will find websites where persons who practice in this manner are kind of aggregated. So you can go through their lists of members and find someone in your locale and have a conversation with them. The other thing about collaborative law specifically is these are persons who are trained to work with mental health professionals, family professionals, and financial professionals. So the lawyer recognizes they don't need to be the expert in everything. And if they bring in these, if you will, sub-experts or other experts, it can be cheaper working with them than with the lawyer. So, you know, so a couple can meet with the collaborative lawyer and they'll say, look, you know, here's your business holdings, here's your finances, et cetera. Let's bring in a financial professional to figure out how to share this between yourselves in a way that you retain as much money as possible. There will be an obligation for child support in your situation. There will be an obligation of spousal support in your situation. But let's discuss where that should be and how it should be paid out over time so that you're retaining as much of your money as possible. So by bringing in these third parties with the specific expertise, we can actually save you money versus the lawyer taking on responsibility for all of it. Same with the parenting issues. Let's bring in a social worker to help you understand what your kids are going through, how to resolve these issues, how to set up the time between each of you and the holidays, versus a lawyer who's an expert at law, but not an expert in family and parenting.
I do feel like most divorce lawyers end up having to play the role of therapist, even though they're not trained for it. So it's good to talk to an outside professional who isn't just your lawyer as well.
Right. So, so sometimes involving these other professionals can help the process go more smoothly at less of a cost. So if you're contemplating divorce this month, don't run to a pit bull. Run to someone who's reasonable and who's going to hold you accountable if your thinking is actually misguided or wonky.
Having been through the process, that is extremely valuable. And if you can't see that, like if your divorce lawyer tells you you're thinking the way you're approaching this is off, and you think the lawyer's wrong, you got to look in the mirror and make sure that you're not vindictive. You're not.
Yes. Now, David, I hear from folks that tell me, but my ex is so nasty, they're awful, I need a pit bull. No, you need a smart lawyer. And a smart lawyer still isn't going to look to escalate things, but manage things reasonably. If this matter goes to the court and you have the pit bull on the other side, the reasonable lawyer is going to say, you know what, Your Honor, we've offered this, and this, and the other side just keeps coming back, because you'll see the pleadings, keeps coming back with nonsense, throwing stuff against the wall, none of which is, there's any factual data to support it. So those pit bulls can actually undermine one's case in the long run.
I guess at a high level, even when things look nasty and it's not a great period in your life, you don't have to behave like a jerk.
Correct. Always take the high road.
Gary Direnfeld, a social worker, a therapist, happy in Betwixt'mas, this awkward time between Christmas and New Year's. This was Therapy Thursdays on a Wednesday, on a Monday. Gary, thanks again.
Great to catch up, David.
Coming up, a salacious content warning for sensitive listeners or parents with small children. Sex toys, they're getting smarter. They include AI and they promise pleasure, but with them brings judgment, stigma, social landmines. When sophisticated technology meets desire in sex, things get a little complicated. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm David Cooper. This is The Last Show.
Welcome to our ugly home.
Reddit is back for a historically hideous season.
It's our 100th ugly house. This place is mayhem. That is impressive.
And if these walls could talk,
do you cry a lot?
I do.
They'd have a lot to say.
What in God's name is this pit?
Don't get too close.
No, if you see the show, I'm a scaredy cat.
Ugliest House in America. Season premiere Wednesday, January 7th at 8 on HGTV.
Please be advised that the following program contains audio content that may be graphic and potentially triggering for some listeners. This content may include descriptions or sounds that some may find disturbing. Listener discretion is strongly advised. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Sex toys, AI lovers, and robot hookups. I bring these up because suppose I told you that a friend used them. Would you judge that friend? What if your friend was a woman? Well, new research finds out that men, when they use these things, spark more disgust in people than women for the same sex tech. It sounds strange, but is it a modern twist on the same old sexual double standards? Well, I'm here with someone who's done research in this area. Their name is Madison Williams, and they're an experimental psychology researcher at the University of New Brunswick. Madison, I'm so excited to have you on the show. Thank you for being here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Your research area, I'm sure it's a lot of things, but it includes one of my favorite words, teledildonics. So let's start there. Can you give me a definition of this amazing word?
Yes, it is a great word. Teledildonics are types of sex toys that can be connected to the internet or Bluetooth to either sync with porn, or it can be synced with another partner's toy. for example, you could have the motions sync up to kind of replicate the feeling of actual penetrative sex.
So it's a modern technological twist on toys that have probably been with humanity since, I don't know, the dawn of time.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's talk your research. People have stereotypes and impressions and ideas about the types of folks that use these things. Talk to me about what those are, and then we'll get to your research.
Yes, we kind of know from research that most sex toy use is used by women. That's also kind of just because of the toys that are on the market. Vibrators tend to be the device that comes to mind when you think of a sex toy. But there are also devices that can be used by men or people of all genders in any type of way. Vibrators can be used on any part of the body for any reason. So although research is focused mostly on women's use, queer people definitely are using lots of them. Men are starting to also come around to them, and we can see that these toys are actually beneficial for people of all genders.
Great. I mean, obviously they would be beneficial. They're fun. They're meant to be enjoyable. Let's talk about what we think of others. Maybe not you, maybe not me, but some of these negative stereotypes that people shouldn't have, but these negative stereotypes that come up when we find out folks use these toys.
Yeah, all users of sex toys tend to be stigmatized, meaning that they're just judged a little bit more harshly. And my research in particular has found that all users of sex toys or sex tech in general are viewed as disgusting, but men are viewed as more disgusting, as are users of more advanced types of sex tech. So if you compare a user of a sex robot to somebody who's a sex toy, the sex robot user is judged a lot more harshly and more negatively.
So if someone has like a 3D headset, robot involved, extremely high technology setup, they're likely to be judged worsely than someone who's just got a little toy in the drawer, is what you're saying.
Yes, and this is possibly because we just aren't used to seeing people use these types of toys. They're not normalized yet. They're still kind of new on the market. So just this unease with the novelty is maybe contributing to that.
Now, when you say men using sex tech or teledildonics is a little more disgusting to the average person, what is that person reacting to? Is it the technology? Is it the idea of sexuality? Is it the idea of doing an activity alone? The things that they think it says about this man? Like, what are folks reacting to? What is this disgust really under the surface?
It's a good question, and we're not totally sure yet. Some thoughts that I have on it relate to disgust in particular, which is related to pathogen fear. So people avoid things that are contaminated because of disgust. Disgust is an emotion. It's a strong negative emotion that can keep us from getting hurt or sick. So men using sex tech is often associated with fluids and maybe a lack of cleanliness in the toys where ejaculate may be collected. So it could be that, just like a fear of the grossness of a dirty toy.
Interesting.
Yeah. It could also just be that we expect men to perform sexually, to be constantly conquesting for women or for other sexual partners. So the thought of a man using a sex toy is just not what is in line with our expectations, which can give us this kind of disgusted fear response.
Let's get to a kind of a curious double standard here that's negative and that I don't love, but let's talk about it. This cultural narrative that if a woman uses a sex toy, that can mean empowerment, that can mean taking your sexuality in your own hands. But now if a man uses one, it's kind of like seen as a failure or maybe gross. Talk to me about this story psychologically.
Well, we think it might be based in sexual script theory, which often just positions men as these sexual experts, which in itself is not a positive way to expect men to be. Like we should expect men to be anything that they want to be. But having this, it's a societal expectation on men in general. So it applies to all types of sexual behavior. And we think that that's what's coming out in this double standard. And for women to be, there's more of a push for women's pleasure right now. Like women's pleasure is seen as feminist movement. And we're really pushing that female pleasure is important, which it is, but male pleasure is also important. And if that needs a sex toy to happen, then that should be fine. But we're not there yet.
Then have fun, kids, I think is what we should be thinking.
Exactly.
Gender aside, as sex tech becomes more human-like, I'm talking like chatbots that really know you and really talk to you about your fantasy, robots, VR headsets that look real, maybe associated, haptic devices that feel real. I'm just kind of making it up as I go along. But as it gets more high-tech, this disgust factor seems to go up. Do you think it's a fear of replacement? Do you think it's this uncanny valley? And the uncanny valley is when things seem almost real when they're not. Is it anxiety about what real intimacy is going to look like with future technology? Or is it all of these things?
I do think it's all of those things combined. And I think we need to keep doing research to figure out what exactly is happening here. But yes, definitely just the novelty in general. People tend to be a bit more hesitant to accept novel anything. So in terms of sex, there's definitely a barrier there. I'm sure vibrators were once also viewed as extremely disgusting, but with time, they've become more normalized. It's become a pretty normal thing just through media exposure and internet, like personalities advertising sex toys. We've come to normalize them. And I think that will happen over time with other devices as well. But they're just so new right now that there's like an immediate gut reaction when you hear somebody say, oh yeah, I sent sex to my AI chatbot. That's not like oh, okay, cool thing yet. It's still kind of stuck there.
Whether we like it or not, unless governments pass draconian laws banning this tech, and I hope they don't, this technology is coming. So any final thoughts about kind of intercepting that initial disgust if someone has it, or things you want people to know about this tech?
Yeah, just talking about it can really improve people's gut reaction to it. I find just telling people that I do this type of research, I'm constantly met with always the same reaction, which is, oh, that's weird. And then you talk to them about, well, no, actually, men who have erectile dysfunction or social anxiety, anybody who has social anxiety or other various types of social sexual deficits, they can really benefit from this type of technology. And it's not just to stereotype weird, creepy men in their basements who are using these tech. It's just really normal people.
Well, if just talking about it can help folks who might benefit from the tech, I'm glad you're here and you talked about it, Madison. Thanks for your time. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Madison Williams is an experimental psychology researcher at the University of New Brunswick. Coming up in a few moments, we'll talk to a cinema expert about why people aren't going to theaters. After all, it's the time of year to go to the movies in Betwixt'mas. So we'll find out why people aren't doing that in a minute.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
We're here because your heightened awareness deserves heightened entertainment. The last show with David Cooper.
Like the movies? Then the question is simple. Why aren't you going out to theaters anymore to watch them? Well, I'm here to discuss that with Charlie Keil, a professor at the Cinema Studies Institute at the University of Toronto. Charlie, first off, welcome to the show.
Well, happy to be here.
And happy in Betwixt'mas. It is that weird time that doesn't exist between Christmas and the New Year where you're kind of half off work. No one's really working hard anyway if they're at work. The time doesn't exist. It's a strange one. How is it going for you?
Well, I think it's a great time of year, and guess what? It's the perfect time to go to the movies.
Ooh, look at you. I see whose side you are in this debate. Why aren't people going to movies? Are theaters struggling? If you look at the numbers where these companies are public or whatnot, what are we finding in trends?
Definitely people are going to the movies less often than they were. And I think demographically, you see a big drop in what would have been like the supporters of mainstream, medium budget range, serious films. Those people seem to be they seem not to have come back. Let's put it that way. So the pandemic has something to do with it for sure.
I remember going to the movies like deep pandemic, wearing a mask and everything, and it was empty. I was in like a 300-seater, and it was me and a buddy, and I think we were watching, what was that movie? Tenet, the movie that went in reverse. That was a fun one. Maybe you can explain that to me at the commercial break. Although I've heard from very smart people that movie has no explanation, but I totally derail. The pandemic washed out movie going. I mean, it washed out all performances.
Yeah.
You're saying it didn't really recover.
Well, a lot of venues, or let's say a lot of different entertainment forms had to come back. Concerts, theater. The movies, I think, there's no comparable experience to going to live theater or a concert, but there are comparable experiences to going to the movies. And of course, what happened during the pandemic was a lot of people started watching stuff on streaming, a lot more so than they had before. And a lot of what they watched was movies. And so one of the chief culprits, I would argue, is that the so-called window between theatrical release and when a film is available domestically has shortened considerably. And that means you, as a moviegoer, can say to yourself, well, if I just wait a few more weeks, this thing will be available to me on my home screen. So why should I go out and pay a lot of money to see it in a theater? Guilty
as charged. That was literally a conversation I had with my partner last night. She was like, let's just wait a month. It'll come out on streaming anyway.
Yeah.
Now this is me reaching, trying to make me sound smart, coming up with a point people haven't thought about, but probably it's a bad point. Has the cost of home theater equipment coming down? Like now you can buy a decent projector and screen. I'm not saying it's cheap, but 10 or 15 years ago, a high quality, 1080p, 4K screen and projector might cost 10,000 Gs. Sorry, 10 Gs. A G is 1,000. See, I am an idiot. But now you can get this equipment for like sub $1,000. Could that be a reason?
Well, I mean, I think if people invested in that kind of thing during the pandemic, obviously, because they thought, well, it could be a long haul before I'm back out in a movie theater again, so I might as well make the viewing experience as nice as possible at home. So sure, that's a contributing factor, but I think it's mostly, if you think about the supply being time limited at a premium, then a lot of people are going to just wait. And then the other factor, which is kind of the pressure from the other side, is that it costs so much to go to see a movie. I mean, if you're going to take, your partner out, but you happen to have kids, then you've got to hire the babysitter, and then you've got the whatever you want to call it, this ticket price shock at the point of purchase.
Box office shock, and then you got the popcorn, you got the soda, you got the hot dog. By then, you have spent 10,000 Gs, and I'm not over-exaggerating. Well, maybe slightly.
Yes. And then the other thing is, because theater owners are desperately trying to figure out other ways to make money, they load up with ads not for other movies, but for various things like cars and grocery stores, etc. And then you are subjected to watching that for, at last count, I think it was 20 minutes of intermittent ads before the movie starts, not including trailers.
Is that the secret number, 20 minutes? I always thought it was 15. They've upped it to 20?
They keep upping it because one of the things they do sneakily is that they slip a few trailers in or pre-show material in, and then they come back with the ads. And then you think you're going to get just trailers, but then there's ads again. So it's just an onslaught.
But if the demand is there to have things at home, even with waiting, if the desire is there, is this really such a bad thing? Shouldn't movie theaters try to compete with streaming and provide a better service instead of just complaining about it?
Well, I think they are trying to provide a better service. One thing one might notice if you go to a Cineplex is that all of the ushers are very polite and thank you for coming and hope you enjoyed your experience. And that never used to happen.
I mean, I live in New York. No one's polite. But you're right. For a New Yorker, they are. I actually did clock that last time. They are very friendly now. Are they trained that way?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure when you get hired, one of the things you're told is go into the theater quietly when it's finished in case there's still people watching the credits, as I do. And then as every patron leaves, make sure you say thank you very much for coming and hope you had a good experience.
Now, I've noticed like the seats are better. They're redoing the theaters to make the actual like physical viewing experience something that I can't just get on my couch. Gone are the days where I go to a big box theater and someone's head is blocking my view. I mean, I can't guarantee someone will have that good experience, but if you pay the premium for like a, mega corporation's theater chain, you do get a great experience as opposed to like small independent theaters, which are good to go to like support the arts and see creative stuff, but you're likely to have a head in front of yours.
Well, I mean, I think what we're seeing is more and more of a stratification between the chains and these indie exhibitors. Indie exhibitors are very much going for a kind of niche viewership. So they are showing, much like you would go to a resale record shop for vinyl, you're going to a smaller independent theater for a niche experience, which might be a revival of a film that's hard to see otherwise, or it might be a cult film that other people will enjoy watching with you in a somewhat collaborative fashion, whatever it might be. But those are becoming more and more what people who are true cinephiles are kind of seeking out, because it is not a generic viewing experience.
What should be done? Assuming we want theaters not to fail, we want to have that movie experience. I know you're a cinema studies professor, so probably you want cinema to still exist. I'm just guessing your motives here. I could be wrong. But what should we do? What could be done? Both on the viewer side, on the cinema goer side, but also on the side of the cinemas.
Okay, well, here's my prescription. The first is that extend the window, make it harder for people to avoid going to movies in movie theaters. Put out more movies. A lot of the major distributors are releasing, fewer than 10 films a year. That means that you have a lot of time at the box office when there's really nothing to see. You need competition at the box office. Actually, the more films that are showing at any given time, the more likely the box office is to go up. And there tends to be a kind of spread out effect. Like if you look at the box office for this past week, a lot of the films did quite well, and you've got quite a range of choice, right? Avatar, Anaconda, Marty Supreme. When you've got films that are different, that appeal to different audiences, and they're all jostling around in the marketplace at the same time, that drives up viewership. So you need to have more product out, ideally films that are good, or at least films people want to see.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah. And I think films that people want to see can be low budget niche films. I mean, some people really want to see those films, but you have to have it done in such a way that people know they're coming. There have to be different attempts at marketing that get people to be aware of a film coming out. I can't tell you how many times I've mentioned a film to someone and they say, I've never heard of that film. I had no idea it was in existence. So, ever pushing the promotional button. I mean, Timothée Chalamet's done a great job at pushing Marty Supreme for all his bizarre stunts. People know about it. And then I would also say, if you're going to make movies, make them for the movie theaters first, bracket Netflix, because making films just to go on streamers is not really making movies in the way they're meant to be seen.
Wow, ouch. And in terms of moviegoers, is it just as simple as, consider the cinema, don't just wait to see it at home?
Yeah, get off your bottoms and go to a movie theater. It's actually fun. I mean, people would think back to when they went, during the Barbenheimer phenomenon, people had a blast going to the movie theater. Do it more often. Go with friends. It's a fun thing to do.
Charlie Keil is a professor at the Cinema Studies Institute at the University of Toronto. Charlie, I've enjoyed the chat. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Something really interesting on the other side of the break. Now, we aren't advocating drug use at all, but there seems to be a surprising link between LSD, the drug called acid, and alcohol addiction. The psychedelic seems to reduce it. So we'll give you curious details about that in a minute.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
At Blinds.com, it's not just about window treatments. It's about you, your style, your space, your way. Whether you DIY or want the pros to handle it all, you'll have the confidence of knowing it's done right. From free expert design help to our 100% satisfaction guarantee, everything we do is made to fit your life and your windows. Because at Blinds.com, the only thing we treat better than windows is you.
Don't miss Blinds.com's year-end blowout sale, happening right now. Save up to 50% site-wide, plus a free professional measure. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Exploring both interstellar and interpersonal space-time continuums, The Last Show with David Cooper.
LSD, the drug known as acid, is not known as a sobriety tool, but new research suggests that LSD use could be linked with lower rates of alcohol use disorder, which to me raises big questions about psychedelics, your personality, and mental health. I'm here with someone who's done research in this area. His name is James Zech. He's a clinical psychology researcher at Florida State University. James, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, David.
So before we even begin, LSD use, like illegally bought by who knows whatever, used in uncontrolled environments and who knows what amounts, we're definitely not advocating that. But those people do the drug and they're worthy of study. So that's what we're looking at today.
Our study is epidemiological research. So we're looking at a gigantic survey of Americans. Think about 150,000 around. This is from the National Survey of Drug Use and Health, which is pushed out every year. So most of the people who are reporting past year LSD use are not doing this in a clinical setting. They're doing it in their homes, in a variety of contexts.
So recreational use, not kind of therapy. This distinction, is it important? Why did you want to use real world use versus, clinical trials?
Yeah, so a couple different responses to that. One is running a clinical trial takes around a couple of years and several millions of dollars. And you're also looking at, so there's some really great things you can do with that. You can get a lot of control of different other variables that might be impacting, whether or not someone continues to use alcohol, et cetera. So you have a lot of control in these RCTs, right? These randomized clinical trials. The downside is that they can cost millions of dollars to run. They can take a really long time. So it's good to also, look at epidemiological research. This would be these research that's involving these big surveys taken at basically one time. They can be, I think, a complement to the more high control clinical trial research. So if you see the same pattern arising both in an RCT and also in an epidemiological study, that's just something to raise an eyebrow out.
So this link between alcohol use, alcohol abuse, and it decreasing if someone reported using acid and drugs like that, did it surprise you? And tell me about it.
Yeah, so it surprised some of us on the research team and not others. I was working on the study with some other early career researchers, and we're all sort of in the psychedelic science space, but I'm also just interested in substance use disorders more broadly. Normally, though, like substance use is positively associated with substance use, right? If you're using one substance, you're going to use more of another. We even saw that in another study that we did on cannabis use and psychedelic use, where we found that these two substances were positively associated. So for me personally, it was really surprising to find that LSD use, past year LSD use, was negatively associated with alcohol use. I did not expect that.
What was the nature of the link? And now we're not recommending anybody do anything illegal, but suppose I had an alcohol abuse disorder and I'd taken LSD in the last year. What would be the likeliness that it would help me or decrease that?
Right. Yeah, so I think it's good to caveat that. Definitely not recommending that anyone just goes and buys anything off the street or does anything with this research. This is really meant to, just inform the field of people who are actually working on this, like researchers, to kind of add to the whole compendium of knowledge we have on the relationship between LSD use or psychedelics more broadly and alcohol use disorder. So this is not a policy suggestion or like a life suggestion. That said, so just to put some numbers on it, we saw a 30% lower odds of meeting diagnostic criteria for past year alcohol use disorder. So i.e., that's like clinical science speak of having you're 30% lower odds of having a real problematic relationship with alcohol.
It sounds dramatic, almost 1/3.
Yeah. That's if you also endorsed using LSD in the past year. And we found that was specific to LSD. So we didn't see that same association arise with ketamine, past year ketamine use, past year MDMA use, and things like that.
Now, what could be the mechanism, or what are some of the explanations that get risen People mention personality changes when they take substances like that.
Right.
Could it be something like that?
Yeah. So, and this is going. So, what we did was just the big finding was saying, "Hey, look, this is a surprising finding in itself. We had this low association between, or negative association between alcohol use disorder and LSD use, but we don't have that's a really important question. Why do we find this link? It could be for any number of reasons. Some possibilities are that we have good reason to suggest that some of these classic psychedelic substances like LSD, also psilocybin, could increase one's psychological flexibility, and that is basically your ability to form new habits, get rid of old habits. It could also change your values. It's very kind of related, and even possibly change your own relationship to your identity. So there's this one really interesting follow-up trial they did on a trial of smoking cessation with psilocybin use, and they found that people who were able to stop smoking from that trial said, I no longer view myself fundamentally as a smoker, which I never thought would happen. So it's possible something similar is going on with LSD. It could be something totally different, but we controlled for a lot of stuff. So, yeah.
What's interesting is we can't conclusively say that use of LSD causes lower drinking. We just see a link there. Can you say more about that?
Yeah. It is important to bang that drum like repeatedly with the kind of research that we're doing. So this is epidemiological work. This is correlational. We're not establishing any kind of causality. And it's important to note, even in this paper, we have a table that shows that if you just look at LSD use alone and you don't take into account all these other demographic and comorbid substance use variables, then the folks who report past year LSD use have higher rates of alcohol use disorder than the average population. So what we're saying is that, hey, this LSD use, only when you control for a lot of different demographic and other diagnostic factors, could be has this negative association, which still you wouldn't expect because drug use is normally related to drug use.
Now, looking ahead, could your research maybe inform the big question that we're dancing around, that psychedelics used safely, intentionally in a clinical setting, perhaps help people drink less? Is that something we could see in the future?
Absolutely. I mean, there's randomized trials that have been done and that are being done right now in the works on this exact question. I think it's a very open question for the field of how, to what extent we could use these different drugs to, facilitate people having better relationships with substances, getting on to the other side of substance use disorders. But this specific research that we did really, I think, raises more questions than it answers.
Is there anything else you'd want people to know from your research investigating what people are reporting about psychedelics in their lives?
One more thing to note is I think that in the field of psychedelic science and just in the zeitgeist more broadly, there's this idea of psychedelic exceptionalism, either that they're exceptionally these wonder drugs, these silver bullets that are going to heal all ailments, end all trauma, or they're these exceptionally dangerous chemicals that could do unique harm to people. And I think it's useful to kind of take a middle path, take a middle approach, and just treat these like any other compound that we see. Let's study these rigorously, cautiously, and let's see where they can help us ease psychological suffering. And let's just be curious about them.
Be curious, and maybe someday just see them like a medicine, like any other medicine we might go to the pharmacy to get a prescription for.
If they're effective, we'll see.
James, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, David.
James Zech is a clinical psychology researcher at Florida State University. In just a few moments' time, it's all relative in Hollywood. A game. What am I talking about? There are some surprising familial relationships in Hollywood amongst actors that you might not know existed. And our foreign correspondent, Tony Five, is going to walk us through them. What are some surprising family relationships in Hollywood? Think on it, because that's coming up.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
I am so excited for this spa day. Candles lit, music on, hot tub, warm and ready. And then my chronic hives come back. Again, in the middle of my spa day. What a wet blanket. Looks like another spell of itchy red skin. If you have chronic spontaneous urticaria, or CSU, there is a different treatment option. Hives during my next spa day? Not if I can help it. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
The only talk show with an introduction that mentions its own introduction. And that's happening right now in this introduction. The Last Show with David Cooper.
Begging for a mention. Yeah, you just want attention.
Did you know Jerry Stiller and Ben Stiller were Did you know... What is it, Tony? What is it?
David?
Yes?
David? Did you know that Ben Stiller and Jerry Stiller were actually relatives, David?
Did you know that Jen Stiller and Ben... Did you know that Jerry Stiller and Ben Stiller were relatives? Well, you probably did, but what do you not know? Some bizarre matches in Hollywood of people that are related. It's all relative in Hollywood, he said, as he got it right the third time. We are joined by Tony Five, foreign correspondent, to discuss Hollywood pairings that you've never heard of.
David, that is right. Tony Five here, live from London, England, and in general. I've spent this Twixtmas, this in-between void period between Christmas and New Year, researching the most oddest topics I could find. And one of them, David, was really weird celebrity relatives, because obviously this time of year you may see relatives that you never see all year long, and they come and you've got this odd uncle from here or this odd auntie or grandma or cousin. And then that made me think, like, celebrities are real people, David. Did you know that?
I'm not convinced, but I'll bear with you for the purpose of your argument.
Okay, and they have relations, Dave. They have relatives, they have cousins, they have parents, David. Did you know that?
Again, I haven't seen the scientific paper proving that, but I'll stick with you. I'll accept what you're saying at face value.
A massive fact jumped out to me because I sort of Googled it, because I can use Google as well, David. I used to use ArcGees, but I've now updated to Alta Vista.
Not Yahoo?
Yahoo, yeah, fantastic search engine. Did you know that Tom Hanks is related to, ready?
I am.
Abraham Lincoln.
Whoa, really?
Exactly, my friend. See, you doubted my ability to bring a topic to the table and confuse you and confound you, but they are distantly related, my friend.
Wow, that one hits like a bang, if you know what I mean. Or sorry, too soon? Has it been too soon?
Too soon. Yeah, too soon.
Too soon, yeah. I don't want to offend anyone.
Yeah, and randomly, you will never guess. So I picked the most obscure people, the people that you would never ever believe are related in some way, shape or form. We have a program in the UK, which I guess you have in the States, called Who Do You Think You Are, where they do your whole genealogy and family tree, and some people end up, being part of the royal family, like 80 people removed. But for example, my favourite president of all time, Barack Obama, who do you think he is possibly related to as a distant cousin?
I have no idea.
Brad Pitt, baby! Brad Pitt himself.
How distant are we talking?
I mean, very distant, but they are still distant relatives. They do carry a bloodline together. Crazy, right?
It is. Did you know, and this one I'm just thinking on the top of my head, off the top, aside the top of my head.
Go for it.
Larry David, my favorite celebrity, the creator of Seinfeld. He's like an awkward Jewish guy.
Yep.
If you can think of someone in American politics who just has the same vibe, but he's not funny, like he's not a comedian, which American politician do you think Larry David is related to? And I don't think that distantly, like maybe third cousin, second cousin.
Right, I don't know American politics that well, so the obvious ones would be like Donald Trump.
No.
And then I would say like Bill Clinton.
No. Not a president.
Oh, I don't.
Although he was a presidential potential candidate,
Is he the former mayor of New York?
No. Bernie Sanders. Don't they look alike and sound alike, and their posture's the same?
Oh, wow. When you think about it, you're kind of right. But this blew my mind. So I'm not very, very familiar with him, but I know a lot of Americans and Canadians are. Al Roker. He's like a news celebrity journalist.
Yeah.
And he's always on the front of things, talking to like the crowds, and he's kind of an American institution, right? He is related, first cousins once more, or second cousins removed, or whatever, to Lenny Kravitz.
Oh, half Jewish and half black. If we had a son, Tony, Lenny Kravitz could be our son.
Could you imagine the parties where Lenny just comes along, plays the guitar, and Al Roker's there just interviewing him? I think that would be amazing. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. Can you imagine?
I can.
And like, so my famous ones, like the ones that I liked, I would say the most is where they just like, people think they're related, but they're not. So when I was growing up, I always thought Ben Affleck to Matt Damon were related. They're not. They're just friends.
They're just friends and work together. And, they grew up together, so they have similar affectations.
Affectations? Are you talking about body parts?
No, that similar mannerisms.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah.
Any others on your list of it's all relative in Hollywood celebrity relations?
Weirdly, my uncle is related to me. Right?
Odd.
It's so weird.
Didn't see that one coming.
He's not really famous for anything other than he did once when we went to a funeral. He fell into the grave.
Oh.
Yeah, he backed off and he was sort of holding some flowers, backed off and fell into the grave, which was awkward because it wasn't even the plot where we were going to see the person that had passed away. So he fell into an empty plot, which is weird anyway, and I think it freaks some people out. And then we had to, the gravedigger had to come and pull him out, and then he fell in as well. So a really somber, really like serene occasion turned into a farce. It was like a Carry On film or a National Lampoon film. It was a very, very strange day.
I feel like I'm trapped in an episode of something written by Larry David right now.
It was terrifying and scary.
Any others before we hit In Betwixt'mas, which I think is the perfect time to come up with any New Year's resolutions, which I do want to talk to you about.
No, who else have I got? I wish I had somebody famous in my family. I'd love to be related to someone. I think that's the opposite side of the coin. I'd love to be famous. I remember I went out with a girl whose her cousin is Leona Lewis, this huge singer, and she was an English singer and she now performs in Vegas. And I was like, how is it? Like, you grew up with this person who's now like a, Grammy award-winning artist. She was like, she's just Leona. So, like, you just treat them as friends. But I think for all the people around the periphery, it's kind of amazing. But, they're just regular people.
They're just regular people, celebrities. Again, not sure I believe that one, but I'll bear with you for the purpose of your argument. I've been talking about it all show, that weird time between December 26th and January 1st, In Betwixt'mas, of which we are in Betwixt'mas.
Yep.
It's a perfect time to come up with New Year's resolutions. Do you have any, Tony?
I think you're right. I think this is the perfect time to reflect, I guess, on in a mirror and maybe look forward to what's going to be, coming up. My my New Year's resolution is to be a little bit more organized when it comes to like the show. So I want to really give it my all, which means basically thinking about what I say. Number one. Number two, not getting cancelled. That's like really high on my list. Like not getting cancelled, not offending anybody.
You mean this show, right? You're talking about this show.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other show, right? There's only the last show.
I don't know what show you're talking about. Okay,
I'm talking about this show.
I assumed you were organized and came to the show knowing what you were going to say, but hey.
It's an organized chaos is my life, and I think I'd like to be a bit more organized. That's kind of my thing.
Okay.
I don't have any like the obvious things like the health kick or eating differently or exercise. I think those things you should just maintain. I think you put a lot of pressure on yourself between that time, and then you go into January 1st trying to assume you're going to run a marathon and then you fall over and nothing happens. So I think I wouldn't do anything like that, but maybe changing habits. And a really, really, really good hint for any listener that might be thinking of doing a resolution is start before the 1st. Start today or start tomorrow, and then you lean into it, and it's not such a big shock to the system on the 1st of January.
Exactly. Start your resolution at the end of In Betwixt'mas, December 31st.
Yeah, so like if you want to use toilet paper, use it now, not just the 1st of January.
Tony, to say that I'm glad to have you on the show would be
a lie.
An understatement. Tony, thank you for being here, my friend.
David, always a pleasure, never a chore. Bye-bye.
Tony 5 is our foreign correspondent in London, England, probably. If you like anything that you heard tonight, but you're just tuning in or you didn't catch the entire program, fear not. We've got the show for you as a podcast, and you can listen to it whenever you like, in the car, on the subway, while you're luging, or on a boat, or while you're luging on a boat. Just head to www.lastshow.pizza. That's our website, and it's .pizza, not .com, or search David Cooper Last Show in your favorite podcast app. We'll pop up and you can subscribe. On it, interviews you loved, and even some bonus content that you would not have heard on the radio show, The Last Show Podcast. Please do subscribe. Anyway, that's a wrap on the night. I'm David Cooper, and this was not the first show, I promise.
And Doug. Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu? Is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.